New details about the Pentagon's secret UFO program from the former intelligence official who ran the covert operation. He joins us next. As I've always suspected, we're not alone. Well, maybe. Earlier this week, the New York Times published an unearthly, hair-raising, spine-chilling supernatural expose on the Pentagon's top secret initiative to investigate unidentified flying space objects. Space stuff! The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program launched in 2007, largely at then-Senator Harry Reid's urging, and officially ended in 2012. Except it may not have been ended at all. According to the Times, the program is ongoing, and the only thing that dried up 5 years ago was the government funding. So, if you still think there's no there, if the disclosed unexplained metal alloy storage facilities aren't enough to convince you that something is up, then listen to what retired U.S. Navy pilot David Fravor told our own Jim Sciutto last night about an eerie encounter he had back in 2004.
Well, the first thing is it had no wings, so you think, okay, it's a helicopter. Well, there's no rotor wash in the water, there's no rotors, and when helicopters move side to side, they kind of slow and then they pick up speed going the other way. This was extremely abrupt, like a ping pong ball bouncing off a wall. It would hit and go the other way and change directions at will. And then the ability to hover over the water and then start a vertical climb from basically zero up towards about 12,000 feet and then accelerate in less than 2 seconds and disappear is something I had never seen in my life.
I have goosebumps. So we have with us tonight the man who ran the Pentagon's backroom UFO program for years, Luis Elizondo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, ma'am. Nice to be here. Thank you very much for having me.
I am so excited. Okay, so to start me off, so I don't go on just this rabbit hole of questions that you can't answer, what are you authorized to talk about?
As long as it's unclassified, I can talk about it. Anything that is obviously classified or sensitive, unfortunately, I can't.
Okay, I'll just have to use my judgment then. So what did you think? Take me back. When you were first given this job, did your head spin? I mean, what did you think?
Well, actually, I didn't think much about it. I guess in our career field, I saw that you had an interview with Commander Fravor earlier, I guess, yesterday. And we're trained to be objective. We don't want to come in with any preconceived notions. I think that's very important. And we're all trained to really let the data speak for itself and then allow the data to help formulate our opinions. And I think that's pretty true in the world of intelligence writ large. We rather let the data drive the conclusions, vice our opinions and our bias drive the data, if that makes sense.
Well, that's why you did what you did, and I could never, because I would come in just as like a fan of Independence Day. I would be so excited. I would find stuff that probably wasn't real. Now, were you ever sort of afraid of anything that you found in your course of investigating?
Well, I think we always have a good degree of healthy apprehension when we see something that for the first time we just don't know what it is. We can't identify it. And unfortunately, that was very common in my office. There was a lot of things that we just couldn't really put our finger on that defied, in our opinion, the current understanding of aerodynamics.
Wow. Okay, so the UFO program reportedly collected unexplainable metal alloys that, quote, had been recovered from unidentified aerial phenomenon. You must elaborate on that, please.
I hate to disappoint you.
Oh, no!
Unfortunately, because I'm no longer because I don't work for the government anymore, I cannot speak on behalf of the government. That's a question that you'd have to bring to them. I'm sorry.
Can you, I mean, can you put it in a realm of, like, you found metal alloys that you couldn't identify? I mean, we know that there was an alloy storage facility, so that part is public, but you couldn't identify, like they weren't close to anything we've seen on Earth? Can you answer that?
Well, let me put it in a little bit more general terms, and again, not to be vague or evasive, but anytime you see something, an object is traveling through the atmosphere, it leaves signatures behind, whether it's acoustic, for example, or electromagnetic, or there's a whole, if you will, there's a whole laundry list of things that anything moving, an aircraft, a missile, a drone, will leave behind it, heat signatures and whatnot. Sometimes these aircraft also can leave residues and leave things behind. So it's not just looking at the object. Obviously, what our office wanted to do was collect anything and everything associated with a particular phenomena. So if we saw something, it wasn't just, as you saw there with Commander Fravor, giving you his eyewitness testimony, which, by the way, is very compelling.
Yes.
He is, I can tell you from personal experience, as a commander of the Black Aces, he is the best of the best there is. But there are many Commander Fravors out there, and so you get that eyewitness testimony along with the additional information, electro-optical, electromagnetic, radar returns. You have the other information from the other eyewitnesses that are along for the ride, so to speak. Radar operators, air traffic controllers, and then you start to put together a little bit more comprehensive picture of what you're seeing. In addition to that, if there's anything else left behind, whether it be any type of material left behind or residues left behind, that's very important as well. You'd want to collect that because you want to analyze it. You want to see, if you can identify if there's any maybe special isotopes involved and things like that.
Special isotopes. Stay right there, Mr. Elizondo. I just want to go to the table. I'm convinced. Is anyone at this table not convinced that there is stuff from outer space on this planet?
Can I just point out
Oh, you're the worst.
that this just speaks to the craziness of the time that we have the Pentagon out there saying, hey, you know, maybe aliens are real, and this is a below-the-fold story right now?
Yes. No, I know. Believe me, this would be my top story every day, all day, for the rest of my life. Unfortunately, we got to cover other stuff. But, Mr. Elizondo, take a listen to what astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has to say on this subject.
The universe brims with mysteries. And so just because you don't know what it is you're looking at doesn't mean it's intelligent aliens visiting from another planet.
Hold on a second. There's another question.
Call me when you have dinner invite from an alien. The evidence is so paltry for aliens to visit Earth, I have no further interest.
I mean, he's just such a party pooper. Mr. Elizondo, are you that down on the possibility?
Well, again, we try to be objective. I'd rather let the data speak for itself. I don't want to have any preconceived notions that something doesn't exist. Mind you that the U.S. spent some money in the past, a lot of money, on things like SETI to look for this very thing. So if you're looking millions of light years outside of your own solar system and galaxy, and all of a sudden someone with a top secret security clearance who's flying a multi-million-dollar weapon system with munitions on it, by the way, who's been to war, who's a trained observer, and I don't mean just an observer. Actually, we've invested money training them to be very keen observers, tells you they're seeing something, and is backed up with the radar and the video. You have to listen, and I don't think our men and women in uniform are crazy. I don't. I think they go through a battery of psychological evaluations, et cetera, but I'll tell you a little bit more than that as well. I think what's very important to understand that our office looked at two things. What is it, and how does it work? So deliberately, to avoid going down that rabbit hole, we wanted to identify what is it, how does it work, and then allow everybody else to formulate their own opinions of, you know, who's behind the wheel and what are the intentions. But I can tell you definitively, while I was in the program, there were no signatures that we could recognize that was either any of our aircraft or anybody else's aircraft. You're talking about maneuvering capabilities that exceed anything that we have ever seen, and we see a lot. So,
well, Luis Elizondo, thank you so much for sharing all that with us.
Sure.
Come back anytime. Do you want to come every day? I'll have you every day.
You don't want me back every day, trust me.
Thanks, guys.
I get boring.
Guys, I just, honestly, I'm such a fangirl right now. I just want to know what he knows. I mean, do you think that we should get more of this to come out over time? I also believe in some secrecy around some of this stuff, but I just want to know everything.
Okay, so either we've been visited by aliens or the government wants us to think that we've been visited by aliens.
Why do you have to go there? Can't it just be that we have been visited by aliens?
I like this guy's like, I can't get into anything classified, but wink, wink.
No,
But keep looking over here. Don't look over here. Keep looking over here.
All right, we'll be right back.